If you guys saw one of my previous videos, then you'll know that we just installed this brand new electric fan here, and this is definitely going to be a huge help with the overheating issues. Now, of course, this isn't the only part that we're going to be replacing. I'll get to that later on in the video, but hopefully this is the start of a good cooling system on this Jeep. So let me show you guys how it actually spins here. So you can see it's definitely a huge difference and upgrade from what we had before. Previously on this electric fan, it literally I could barely even spin it with my hand, and now you can see there's no resistance and it actually works. So definitely a huge upgrade with this. Now the next thing that I wanted to show you guys before we actually get on the road is the coolant here. So if we go ahead and open this thing up, let me show you guys what this looks like down here. So as you can see, it's not even full. So that might also be a bit of an issue here with the overheating problems that we've had. So yeah, we're going to talk about this later as well. Let's go ahead and get on the road. Go ahead and start this thing up, see how it goes. As of right now, we are running at 210. I have not heard the electric fan kick on, but as I stated in my previous video, it is it's actually pretty quiet. So you might not be able to hear it. You probably definitely won't be able to hear it on camera, but even I couldn't hear it if it turned on at all. So it's doing pretty good so far. Like I said, we are in stop and go traffic right here. I'm in a shopping plaza just driving around seeing how it does. And like I said, it is mid 70s today, so not terribly hot, but it's also not cold. Let's actually try to turn on the AC and see how that goes. All right, so we got the AC on. I've heard that whenever you turn on the AC, that the electric fan is also supposed to kick on. But for some reason, I don't think that works on the 2000s and 2001s. At least that's what I've read online. That's what a few people have said on YouTube videos as well. So I don't think the electric fan is on, but I'm sure once it goes over 210 or 218, I think is the temperature, that's when it'll actually turn on. But I can actually feel the AC is coming out pretty cold. Of course, it's not ice cold like you would have in a brand new vehicle, but I really can't complain about this right now. We'll see if once we get out onto this open road, give it some more airflow, we'll see if it cools down a little bit. But yeah, I am starting to kind of smell burnt coolant maybe. I don't know if that's what it actually is, but it's the same way that it smelled whenever it had that steam coming out of the grill. But obviously I don't really see steam. It's not too bad. So as of right now, we're still at 210. It's actually starting to drop a little bit, so that's definitely a good sign. Yeah, so right now we're not on the gas at all. So perfect conditions for cooling the Jeep, no gas, and we're getting good airflow into the radiator. But now we got another stop right up here, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if the temperature goes up. Oil pressure is good as well, sitting right below 40. Still couldn't hear the electric fan come on at all. I don't know if it's just that quiet or if it just hasn't turned on yet. Sitting at 210 still after that, after sitting at that stoplight right there. And of course, I'm not doing any kind of crazy driving. This is just normal city driving. As you guys probably know, I've told you guys several times that I do drive like a grandma. I don't accelerate fast at all. I drive the speed limit. It's pretty funny how people get mad if you drive the speed limit, but they're gonna be the ones getting the ticket, not me, so that's a good thing. Here we have another red light coming up. See what happens. We're still at 210, so I'd say we're pretty consistent with the temperature, even with the AC on. Like I said, outside temperature is about 75, I believe. Thank you. Said nice Jeep. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like this Jeep actually got a nice bike too. It's pretty slick. But yeah, sometimes, like I was saying, I feel like this Jeep actually attracts some more attention than the Challenger actually. Of course, the Challenger attracts more attention from police and stuff, which is unfortunate because that thing's crazy loud. But yeah, this Jeep definitely does attract attention from people who actually understand the value of it and what it is. Normal people, people who aren't into Jeeps or cars or anything like that, they just look at this Jeep and they're like, oh, look at that old Jeep, just an old Jeep, piece of junk, But people like that guy, pretty cool to see people actually notice the value of this Jeep. So yeah, I mean, we're sitting here at this red light. We've been sitting. Gonna go now, and we are still sitting at 210. Yeah, so I mean, even with low coolants, you guys can see it's really not even that bad. With more airflow, I would expect the temperature to drop, but it's sitting consistently at 210. All right, so now we're pulling into this little side road right here. We're gonna be driving a little bit slower than we were before. Let's see what happens here. All right, well, this isn't really a road. Kind of a dead end, but you know, we're in a Jeep, so why not just do something like this here? All right, that's, you know, I love these Jeeps because you can literally just do anything. All right, so a little bit slower driving here. We're sitting at 210, AC still blowing cold, and I haven't heard the electric fan turn on at all, which is pretty surprising, but you know, it's not overheating or anything, so we're definitely doing pretty good. Gonna get back on the road here and see what happens. This is a 2001 Jeep, so it's like 20 years old now, and I don't believe that any of the cooling parts have ever been replaced because they are pretty corroded, especially looking at the water pump and the thermostat housing and the engine. I'll show you guys that later in the video, but those are all parts that we are getting replaced actually next week. Might as well just keep the Jeep fresh, especially with the cooling system. I know whenever people get these XJs, the first thing that they like to do is replace the whole cooling system. And I'm not gonna replace like literally everything, but I am replacing most of the cooling components. Just like I said, just to keep everything fresh. And we are using completely OEM Mopar replacement parts. I've heard that's the best thing to do with these XJs. Of course, there are different companies that make OEM replacement parts such as Omix and Crown Automotive, but Mopar is definitely the best way to go for these old Jeeps. Now, the electric fan that I got for this Jeep is actually made by Omix, which, you know, I can't complain about it. It works, even though I haven't heard it turn on yet today. So I hope it works, but it was about $113 from Summit Racing with shipping and tax. So it had the best reviews from any cooling fans that I saw on Summit Racing. The other brand, Crown Automotive, I read reviews about that one, and people were saying that it's not the same size as the stock one, and that the Omix was a direct, like, bolt-in replacement, which is exactly what I was looking for. There is a Mopar replacement fan, but it was like over $300. Now, for an electric fan, you know, all it does is spin. It's not like a radiator or a water pump or a thermostat. For those things, I would be getting Mopar replacement brands if they are available, but for an electric fan that does something simple like that, I really couldn't justify spending over $300 if I could get it for like $100. We got the AC running, it's in the 70s outside, and it's not overheating at all. It's running right at 210, which is perfect. All right, so I was just sitting for a few minutes, and it did go a little bit above 210, but it's, you know, it's still not on the next mark after 210. So that's definitely good. I did not hear the electric fan kick on, but I would imagine that it's just so quiet you just can't even hear it. All right, guys, so we just parked up here. Let me show you guys the temperature gauge. You can see it's right at 210. Let's go ahead and open up the hood and see if the fan is spinning. I can't hear it even out here, so we'll see what it looks like. All right, so I don't think it's spinning right now. Yeah, it's definitely not. You can see, let's see what happens when I turn on the AC. All right, so you definitely heard the AC condenser just turn on, but the fan is still not on. Yeah, the mechanical fan is definitely working pretty well. And you can hear the AC condenser in there as well. So that's definitely working. But I don't think the electric fan is turned on. All right, guys, so I just heard the electric fan turn on. You can hear from the front here. Yeah, so you can definitely hear that now. See what it sounds like from the inside. You can kind of hear it, but let's look at the temperature. So it's right above 210, and right now I actually do have the defroster on, which is also supposed to turn on the electric fan, unless it's the 2000 or 2001 XJ. So I think that is the exception. So I just turned the defroster on. AC is off as well. So yeah, it's definitely blowing air. I mean, it's doing its job, definitely. All right, yeah, so we know that it definitely works now. Let's go ahead and check the temperature gauge again. Yeah, so it definitely did its job because it just turned off and the temperature went down as well. So we know it works for sure. All right, guys, so as I was saying, the overheating issues that I have with this Jeep, really, like, I don't really have any overheating issues. Now, considering the low coolant level, I think it's performing very well for how much coolant is actually in there. Now, I don't know the actual coolant level, but we are getting it flushed and refilled next week, along with getting the rest of the coolant parts replaced. Let me go ahead and show you guys what we're actually getting done next week. So, of course, like I said, we do have the brand new electric fan right here. This is made by Omix, like I was saying. And then some of the other things that we are getting includes the water pump and the thermostat housing. And as you can see, the one that it's on there right now, you can tell it's a little bit corroded, which is why I want to replace the housing as well. And that's also the reason why I don't think that it's actually ever been replaced. So we definitely want to go ahead and do that. Along with those things, we are getting brand new radiator hoses. Of course, we got the upper one right here, and then the lower one down there. Now, the lower radiator hose on these Jeeps actually has a spring inside of it to keep it from collapsing under pressure. Now, I don't know if the new hoses will have that spring inside of it, but when I talked to the mechanic that's going to be doing the work, he said that usually if they don't have the spring that's inside of it, they're kind of like reinforced, so just to make sure that they don't collapse with that pressure. I asked if he could take the old spring out and put in the old one, and he told me that with these old Jeeps, that's usually not possible because of how rusted those old springs are. So it should be fine either way, I'm hoping. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a big upgrade. I don't know if the hoses have been replaced either, so that's definitely good that we're doing that. So up next, we are also getting a coolant flush, of course. And I also asked them to take a look at the radiator just to see if it needs to be replaced. And if they do think that it needs to be replaced, I am probably going to do a Spectra CU 1193. And I've heard the Spectra radiator is the best OEM replacement that you can get right now. I would have gotten a Mopar replacement, but I believe they are discontinued. So Spectra is the next best option. Now, along with those things, other than the cooling parts, we are also getting a brand new belt and maybe an idler pulley as well. So of course, to replace the water pump, the belt has to come off because you have to remove the pulley. So the belt's going to be replaced with a brand new one. If they decide that the idler pulley needs to be replaced as well, and they're going to go ahead and do that too. So out of all these parts that I mentioned, other than the radiator, the only part that is not a genuine Mopar part that we're getting is going to be the idler pulley. So I guess the idler pulleys are discontinued, or Mopar just doesn't make them anymore. So I'm not sure which brand, but if it's just a pulley, I'm sure it's not going to be too big of a deal, as long as it's, you know, the same size and everything as the stock one. I don't think it's going to matter too much if it's a genuine Mopar part. But like I was saying, for the thermostat housing, and water pump, you definitely want to go ahead and get those genuine Mopar replacement parts, at least in my opinion. I know there's a company called Flow Cooler that makes pretty good water pumps, and I've heard pretty good reviews about that water pump as well. But in my opinion, I haven't had, you know, any serious overheating issues. So I'm just going to stick with the stock Mopar parts for this replacement stuff. All right, guys, so I know there wasn't too much action in this video, more of just an update video for you guys. I wanted to talk to you guys about how the electric fan is doing and do some testing to see if it helped with the overheating issues. And it certainly did. It's definitely doing its job. As you guys saw, whenever the temperature rose above 210, the fan turned on and it dropped right below 210. So it definitely helped a lot. So I am pretty happy with the Omix electric fan that I replaced with the worn out stock one. So yeah, it's definitely doing pretty good. And honestly, I really don't have to replace all those cooling parts, but I figured I might as well because I don't think they've ever been replaced at all. So I am definitely planning on keeping this Jeep for, you know, forever. So I definitely want to make sure it's running pretty good and has fresh parts. Now with the Challenger, I know I said I was gonna put this in a separate video, and I probably will talk about it in future videos, but I am looking to upgrade to something with a little bit more power, and I already do have a replacement in mind, but not sure when it's going to happen or if it is going to happen at all. But it's just a thought that I've been having, and nothing wrong with the Challenger, but I think I'm just ready for something with a little bit more power and forced induction. So just going to leave it at that, and definitely look out for more Challenger videos, and the Jeep is definitely for sure staying. So I'm not getting rid of this thing, and that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you guys have any questions or comments or video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, make sure to drop those down below in the comments section. And if you guys like this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.